Yo, before I start this video, I do want to say that I've never actually touched Hakuda before, so I want to give a big shout out to my friend Zevem for actually helping me with this video. He's a relatively high ranked Hakuda player, and he's actually given me the information and background footage. And like always, before we start this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So for the first section of the video, we're going to be talking about synergy. So essentially what elements work best with Hakuda, and it isn't too difficult to figure out. Just look for elements that have combo starters, gap closers, or close high range DPS moves, like the fire moves basically. So like for example, Arankar has a ton of great partials for Hakuda users. They got just about every single comment, so Bone, Storm, and Slash are really good on Hakuda. And then you move on to the rares, and Spirit and Pantier and Dove are all busting on Hakuda. And now for the legendaries, Vamp and Ergante are staples for Hakuda, while Stark and Ergante can work well with it. Or my bad, Stark and Volcania. So like obviously I can't break down each and every one of these because just about every single Arankar partial works really well with Hakuda. Just explain why some of these really do just work well. So for example, let's start with Bone. So Bone really works specifically well with Hakuda because Encasing and Spleen specifically allow you to basically guarantee your Hakuda up tilt combo, and you can just continuously spam that. I know a big weakness Hakuda users have is starting air tilt combos, right? Like those are actually really annoying to start. With Bone, it's no longer annoying. I specifically recommend looking for an element similar to that. I'll give you guys some more examples for Soul Reapers and Quincy's as well. So like for Soul Reapers, I would definitely say Ink Hakuda. Like honestly, actually Ink Hakuda might have at one point or even currently just straight up been the best build in the entire game. So you're basically guaranteed to land Wavefront and Nameless, with the only downside being that they don't tin airtime, but due to the fact that they disable your opponent's moves, they stun them and they slow them, restarting your Hakuda combos became incredibly easy. And you also have the other move, Droplet, which lets you pretty much straight up just fly over to them. So Droplet into a Hakuda up tilt combo is pretty free as well. So Ink Hakuda is honestly just one of the best builds for Soul Reaper. For Quincy's, honestly this is going to be a bit difficult just because I don't see Quincy Hakuda as much, but when I do see it, the builds that I'm mainly looking at are going to be death dealing, because Gift Bad lets you start Hakuda combos really easily. And I feel like with Hakuda, depending on how you play, if you focus based on ground combos more, you'll also be able to build up the poison meter a lot faster. There's Iron, which is really nice because a lot of the moves do combo extend for Hakuda. And to wrap it up, there's Balance. Balance just straight up works with anything, to be honest. Like you can use Balance on anything. You get a free heal and a hyper armor guard break, which is pretty valid. The only downside is your hyper armor guard break does not maintain airtime, but I mean it's still valid for combo starting, right? So yeah, let's move on to the next section. If you guys do have any more questions about this, feel free to comment them below at any time and I'll try and answer them. Now we're on to skill boxes, and when it comes to skill boxes for Hakuda specifically, at least in my opinion, I don't think skill boxes play as much of a role in Hakuda's playstyle as some other builds. Like for example, like Kendo, Sonata Flow, Eviscerate, and Crescent Relief are very like prevalent parts of your PvP, but for Hakuda I feel like it's less prevalent. So generally speaking, when it comes to Hakuda skill boxes, I would recommend always picking up Death Player. That's probably the best move ever. And then you got Shori and Genna. In my opinion, Shori is pretty trash, I'm not gonna lie. I think Shori sucks. Zevem told me that it's actually good, but the only way it's good is if you have a build that emphasizes on increasing their posture, or if you're able to increase their posture, because most people do just end up blocking it. So if you don't have a way to increase their posture, or if you don't have a way to like pressure them heavily, Short is not that good. But if you do have that, so like for example duality, a lot of people do end up just blocking duality. So once you like increase their posture bar to a certain degree, you can't just straight up pop the Short and get your free air combo in. But generally speaking, you probably won't be able to do that. So I would just recommend picking up Genna and Death Flare. To wrap this up, I do want to say for newer players, if you do just want to farm free Hakuda wins, I think Shori is probably better in lower elos. But as you progress, people start getting better and better at fighting it, so it might not be as good unless you have the specific build I mentioned before. So basically just something that's able to pressure them and increase their posture a lot. So like basically just duality. That's it for this section. Let's move on to the next one. So honestly, as you guys know, I don't really play Hakuda, but I am really good at getting out of Hakuda combos. So this, combined with all the information that Zevem's given me, I'm kind of just going to give you a quick breakdown of how I think Hakuda combos works. So the only tip that I really have, or like the main one, is to not use Spine Rend instantly in the air. For me at least, all I really need to do against this is to just hold F and dodge out of it. And I see so much Hakuda users doing this because I know you're like trying to mix people up, but like straight up, a lot of the times it just ends up getting you cooked, and it just gives me a free escape. So focus on like actually starting combos with proper moves that don't let your opponent instantly escape out of them. I know sometimes in laggy ping you can't, but that's like a main thing, right? Normal builds, I can't really give you a specific chain of moves to use. All I really have to say is make sure you're being unpredictable, because all of your moves maintain airtime, so all of your moves can combo into each other, right? So just make sure to be unpredictable. And I know a lot of people also do try focusing timing their attacks, they just be like unpredictable, and this is a really good approach, because if you time it right, you could get guard broken and start a nasty combo. I'm speaking from experience as a victim of this. But if you time it wrong, you could just end up giving them a get out of jail free card, and then they can just easily escape the combo. Before I wrap this section up, I do want to say make sure you also have a good Shikai partial or shrift that actually complements Hakuda, because the hardest part about playing Hakuda in my opinion is actually starting the combo. So like I said in the synergy section, something like duality or bone would go crazy with Hakuda. And actually, for real, before I wrap this up, zevem did send me some combos with Hakuda, so let's go over those as well. Combo we got, so you start the air combo using Tora Reach into Shori, then you go Rising Shot, M1 Feint, Death Flare, M1 Negation, getting a down slam into Anchor Splitter, catching Dragon, and use it again. So the only real downside I see to this combo in my opinion is the fact that when you do the getting a down slam thing, I'm pretty sure they are able to escape it. Another issue is the M1 Feint. Make sure to time that properly, or I would just straight up avoid using that if you're playing on high ping, because people are just able to dodge out of it. But if you're on really low ping, it's a double-edged sword kind of. Aside from that, it's a pretty decent combo, and let's move on to the next section. Category, I'm mainly just going to be going over the main issues Hakuda has along with some of its strengths. So the biggest issue I really see is also the skill curve Hakuda has. In lower elos, you'll find that landing a lot of your combos instead of just one-shotting people is going to be pretty easy, but as you climb, that'll start to become harder and harder, and this is going to be very difficult to adjust to for a lot of Hakuda players. So it's very important to get used to mixing up your opponents, because as you get into the higher elos, it's going to be essential. Like, you will not be able to raw any of your moves like pause, but you will not be able to just blandly use any move you want and expect to hit most of the time, at least, right? What I want to talk about is actually starting the Hakuda combos. That is another big issue that Hakuda players have in higher elos, and like converting from a lower elo to a higher elo, because once people start getting better and they start understanding the game more, avoiding the combos is going to get a lot easier. Using your basic combo starting moves raw is also going to end up being a bit of a burden as well. So the main way to counteract both of these problems is to just pick up an element that complements Hakuda. So for example, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but duality for Soul Reapers, bone for Arankars, and for Quincy's I would definitely just pick up death dealing. Honestly, I think that's like the best option straight up. Actually, all you really need to do is to just pick an element that can complement Hakuda really well, and that should cover up for most of the weaknesses, aside from the ones that you can't really do anything about. For example, which is that you literally just aren't able to play aggressively as a Hakuda player, in my opinion, just because you don't really have much of a kit that lets you play aggressively. A lot of high elo Hakuda players, in my opinion, should have just run away the entire time. They use an element or a gap closer to start their combo. If it fails, they go back to running away and rinse and repeat till they win. Like, that's straight up just high level Hakuda gameplay, at least from what I've seen. And yeah, that's it for the video mainly. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, and goodbye.